Um, I wanted to, I guess, highlight a couple projects. So before I got into design, I was trying to figure out my path. So when I was in junior high school, and probably up until my junior year of high school, I was completely convinced that I was going to play in the NFL. I didn't even make it. Didn't even play college. Um, and honestly, when I got to my senior year, I was like, it's when we started talking about concussions a little bit more. We don't have to go too into depth there. But I was like, maybe I don't really like getting hit that much. But I sure did like catching a football. But I started to explore different things. When I went to college, I declared and tried, I think, 4 different majors while I was at BYU before I ended up hearing about product design at Utah State and transferring over and completely changing schools and kind of my life at that point. And so since then, I've had a lot of cool opportunities to design different things. When I was trying to find my path, I liked a company called Cotopaxi. Has anyone ever heard of Cotopaxi? Yeah. So Cotopaxi is really cool because they were one of the first companies to make doing good their main mantra, and why they were trying to have a successful company was to then give back to others. And I thought that was really cool. But at this point, I had realized my obsession for footwear, and Cotopaxi isn't a shoe company, at least at this point. They've done some collaborations. But even though I loved Cotopaxi, I didn't want to work for them because I wanted to work on shoes. It was my sick passion, I guess, was to design shoes and work on those. But while I was a grad school student, I worked on a project of creating a shoe line for Cotopaxi out of Cotopaxi backpacks. And so that was a fun thing that I did. Since then, I've worked for a lot of different companies. I worked for a company that used to be in Kaysville. It's called Climate. They since moved to Tennessee. But this was while I was a student at Utah State. I did an internship there. And my first project was an inflatable dog bed. Cool, right? Still in my head, I knew I wanted to be a footwear designer. So when I first got the project, I was a little bit disappointed. I was like, okay, I'm the intern. They're giving me a project that maybe no one else wants to do. But this ended up becoming one of the products that had the most social media images taken of because people love their pets. And it ended up being a lot of fun and an amazing learning experience for me. And it's hard not to like beautiful dogs taking a snooze on an inflatable bed. So that was really fun. Another project that I've done was I did some work for a women's footwear company in Springville called Solely Jane. And maybe I needed a better image here, but or a sample. But what these sandals do is there's a bottom. So we'll just call it the base of the shoe, what's under your foot in the sandal, the sole. And then there's an upper. So the upper of a shoe is what covers the top of your foot. And in these shoes, the sole and the upper separate. And so you can have one sole and essentially an infinite amount of uppers that you can interchange. And that was a project that there's a difference between designers and engineers. This project was more kind of in the technical engineering space, and so it was one that pushed me a lot. I was able to travel to Vietnam to visit the footwear factory and work with really smart people to create good design solutions. With everything that I've done, there have been lots of different learning opportunities.